Hey, it's day 2, establishing our identity, who I am. And today we're talking about being a new creation. And our declaration is, I'm a new creation. So, what exactly does it mean to say that we're a new creation? So, um, after we say the sinner prayer, we open our eyes or we get from up our knees or whatever position we're in, and we realize that for me, my hair is still red, my eyes are still blue, I still have freckles on my face. So, how am I a new creation? And those are kind of interesting questions. And sometimes we feel completely different. Sometimes we don't feel anything at all. But there is a spiritual transaction that just occurred. In areas in your life, in your spirit, where you were dead, now God came, and this is the vernacular I like to use because it reminds me of the breath of life that God breathed into Adam and Eve. He comes and he breathes into our spirit, or he makes alive, he brings back from the dead our spirit, and he brings it to life. So our spirit man is now alive. We are a new creation. So the way I explain this is goes all the way back to the garden, right, where everything began. When Adam and Eve fell and their spirit died, they were alive physically, but their spirit died and there was a separation. And so when our spirit comes alive, we now are back to our original state that we were when we were created in the garden. When Adam and Eve walked and talked with God every day, what I believe happened is their spirit was in charge of who they were, and their body and their soul followed after their spirit. But once their spirit died after the fall, then their body and their soul took over because that's all that was left. They were driven by things like they needed shelter, they needed covering, they needed food, all the things that God provided for them, and they had no worries of before the fall. Now they had concern. And so they were guided by their natural urges and their natural desires. So when we're born as children in the physical natural realm, we're born and we are driven by our natural urges. When we're hungry, we cry. When we need to be changed, we cry, and so on and so forth. And it grows. Some of us grow out of that, some of us don't. That's another topic. But as we grow, so if we translate that idea into a spiritual picture, when we're born spiritually, now what God is doing is he is showing us that everything is all new. We're a new creation. Positionally, everything is new. Nothing is in the past. Our job is now to learn how to allow ourselves to be led by our spirit, and have our soul and have our body align with our spirit and be led by our spirit rather than to be led by our physical bodies. That's not always easy, because when we're hungry, right? And so when we're a new creation, I like to say what happened is we became brand new, and everything, scripture supports this, that everything in our past was gone. We became a new person. We do not always recognize that because we're still living in our natural realm. And we have to learn, many of us as Christians never do, but we have to learn if we're going to be walk in the fullness of what God has for us. We have to learn how to walk spiritually. And so part of that is learning about who we are. And so we are a new creation, and we have choices now that we didn't have before. We have guidance now that we didn't have before. We have new things open to us that we didn't have before. If only we could learn to walk into it, which is what we're going to do when we learn to live by faith, and we learn to live by the Spirit and be led by the Spirit rather than be led by the natural. So today, I want you to declare over yourself, I'm a new creation. I'm new. I'm a new creation. And you'll see, yesterday our declaration was, I'm born again. And today is, I'm a new creation. And you can declare those over yourselves. I'm born again. I'm a new creation. And Lord, show me ways in which I can enter into the new identity that you've given to me, whether I was saved 20 years ago, whether I was saved 2 minutes ago. Help me to embrace everything you have for me. And I hope that helps you understand a little bit. And I think as we go on through this, it will become more clear. But it's really miraculous what God has provided for us. And I'm just really praying for you that this gets down deep into your spirit and that the light bulbs will begin to come on. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.